They call it failure to launch. The guy's still in his childhood bedroom at 23. The butt of every sitcom joke since 1995, but here's what nobody's laughing about. The kid living at home, eating his mom's leftovers, running a laptop business from his childhood desk. He might retire a millionaire before his roommates in a shoebox friends ever clear their credit card debt. This isn't a video about mooching off your parents. This is a video about arbitrage, the biggest, most slept-on financial cheat code available to Americans under 25, because while your friends are financing their independence with 30% of their paycheck, you could be financing your future. Let's run the numbers. All of them. Picture Ethan. 19. Just wrapped his freshman year, or maybe skipped the dorm entirely. He's back in his childhood bedroom in a town like Columbus, a city where the median rent is roughly half of what it is in New York. Here's the first number that matters, 0. That's Ethan's rent. That's his grocery bill. That's most of his utilities. Meanwhile, he's picking up freelance graphic design gigs on the side, nothing glamorous, logos for local businesses, maybe managing an Instagram page for a food truck. Call it $400 to $600 a month. Now here's where most 19-year-olds fumble the bag. That $500 doesn't go into an account. It goes into a new controller, a fast food habit. Or a down payment on a used Civic he doesn't really need yet. It's not reckless spending in the traditional sense. Nobody's buying a boat. It's death by 1,000 small conveniences. And that's the quiet tragedy of phase 1, not overspending, but underinvesting. So let's talk about the alternative path. The one almost nobody tells 19-year-olds about, the Roth IRA. A Roth IRA lets you invest after-tax money now, and every dollar of growth, every single cent, comes out completely tax-free in retirement. At 19, with 0 rent, this is the single highest leverage move available. Run the math, $500 a month, invested from age 19 at a historical stock market average of around 8%. Becomes over $2.3 million by retirement. Not because Ethan is a genius. Because he had one thing his future self would kill for, time, subsidized entirely by his parents' roof, for the money he'll need sooner, an emergency fund, a future car, a security deposit, a high-yield savings account, paying several times what a traditional bank offers, becomes the parking lot before the real investing begins. By 20, if Ethan plays this even moderately well, he's not rich. But he's got a number most of his peers won't see until their late 20s, a positive net worth, growing on autopilot. Graduation changes the pressure. Suddenly everyone's talking about adulting, about moving to Austin, or Los Angeles, or wherever the jobs, and the Instagram posts, are, and the entry-level salary waiting for most new grads. Somewhere between $45,000 and $58,000, before taxes, before healthcare deductions, before a single bill is paid. Run that salary through rent in one of those cities, and the math turns brutal. After taxes, rent, and basic living, the average new grad renting solo in a major metro is left with less than $200 a month of actual discretionary income. Sometimes less than 0, so here's where the strategist splits from the crowd. Instead of chasing the city, Ethan stays home one more round, and turns freelancing into an actual micro-business. What started as $500 a month gig work scales into $3,000 or $4,000 a month. Social media management for 3 or 4 small businesses, freelance design retainers, maybe a print-on-demand store humming in the background. But let's not pretend this phase is all spreadsheets and stock charts. This is also the most socially awkward window of the entire journey. You're a legal adult, earning real money, still asking if it's okay to have friends over. Some families ask for a modest contribution to groceries or utilities, often just a few $100s a month, a fraction of market rent. Others don't. And that generosity comes with its own quiet pressure to not take it for granted. Either way, the friction is real, and pretending otherwise does this story a disservice, but the numbers don't lie. By 22, with consistent freelance income stacked on top of a full-time entry-level job, or in place of 1, Ethan crosses $25,000 in net worth. Meanwhile, his friend in Brooklyn, same graduating class, similar starting salary, has paid roughly $28,800 in rent over that same 12 months, and has a bank balance that resets to near zero every month. This isn't a moral judgment on the Brooklyn apartment. That's a real experience worth having. It's about sequencing, front-loading the boring, unglamorous accumulation years before the expensive years arrive. Every cheat code has an expiration date. And somewhere around 23, the math starts to shift, not the financial math, but the human math. Dating gets more complicated when "come over" means walking past your parents' living room. Independence stops being just a financial concept and starts being a personal one. This is real, and no net worth number fully erases it, but here's what that discomfort bought him. By 23, Ethan is sitting on roughly $61,000, built from freelance income, a modest entry-level salary, disciplined investing, and 3 to 5 years of essentially rent-free living. Now the exit strategies open up. One path: house hacking. Buying a small duplex or triplex. Living in one unit, renting out the others, using tenant income to cover most or all of the mortgage. Compare two 24-year-olds one more time. One puts a down payment on a modest starter home in a growing market like Charlotte, building equity every single month. The other signs a lease on a luxury high-rise in Chicago, paying premium rent that builds equity for someone else entirely. Neither choice is wrong. But only one of them is quietly compounding. The other exit path doesn't involve real estate at all. That $61,000 becomes seed capital, either parked in a diversified index fund portfolio and left alone for decades, or redeployed as the launch budget for turning that freelance side hustle into a full, self-sustaining business. Either way, when Ethan finally does move out, and eventually, almost everyone does, he's not leaving broke and starting from zero like most 24-year-olds. He's leaving with a running head start most people won't catch up to for another decade. So let's redefine the word everyone's been misusing this whole video: independence. Independence was never really about having your own lease. It was about having your own options. And paying a landlord $2,400 a month doesn't buy you options, it rents you a temporary illusion of them. Ethan's story isn't extraordinary. He didn't invent a startup or get lucky in crypto. He just understood something most people don't figure out until it's too late. The years everyone tells you to be embarrassed about might be the most financially important years of your entire life. The real failure to launch was never living in your childhood bedroom. It's leaving it with nothing to show for the years you had it for free. So I'll leave you with this: if you're still at home right now, are you optimizing these years, or just waiting them out? Tell me in the comments where you are in this timeline, and what you're actually doing with the rent you're not paying. If this video mapped out a path you didn't know existed, hit subscribe, because next week, we're breaking down the other side of this equation: what happens when you do leave, and how to not blow the head start you just built.